The mysterious top secrets of the Wuhan virus is being unraveled here. This is video part 2. If you haven't watched the part 1 of this video, please don't forget to watch it. And if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel so that future videos are immediately updated to you. So in the last video, we ended with the strategy used by the exploiters. And the strategy we discussed was problem, reaction, solution. That means create a problem, escalate a fear, and offer a pre-planned solution. So let's continue from here. By creating problems that do not exist and by instilling fear in the people, thereby making great economic, political and social gains is their idea. You would be surprised to know that the UNO was founded in 1945 in San Francisco at the behest of the Rockefeller brothers. The two UN affiliates, the WHO and WTO, are wholly owned by the Rockefeller Foundation. And the Rockefeller Foundation also has a significant impact on China's health. In 1914, a non-profit organization, the China Medical Board, CMB, was established with $12 million in aid for medical education and research in the medical universities in China. In this way, their goal was to take over the health sector in China. And if you are interested, you can read more about the Rockefeller Foundation online. The GOF research has been conducted in the US and Western countries for years. The year 2014, the US banned GOF research on deadly diseases such as MERS and SARS due to a series of accidents involving the release of deadly germs from the labs. But there was an external pressure on the government to lift the ban. As a result, in 2015, the US Department of Health approved a $3.7 million grant for the National Institute of Health for GOF research on deadly diseases such as MERS and SARS. Anthony Stephen Fauci, the scientist who heads the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases under the NIH and is currently at the helm of the COVID defense in the US, says such experiments were difficult to carry out in the US despite strict government security measures. So, Anthony Fauci contacted British virologist and scientist Peter Daszak to find a solution to this. Peter Daszak is the president of the New York-based non-profit NGO Eco Health Alliance, EHA. The EHA's mission is to protect humans and animals from epidemics. And Peter Daszak has over 20 years of experience in conducting many dangerous GOF researches without any public attention. Daszak was of the opinion that it would be better to conduct research in labs in any foreign country than to conduct research within the strict laws of the USA. Daszak's investigation ended up in the lab of the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. This is because the director of the WIV lab, Shi Zheng Li, also known as the Batwoman of China, is a direct acquaintance of Daszak and has worked with American and European researchers for many years. Thus, Daszak awarded the subcontract for coronavirus research to the WIV lab headed by Shi Zheng Li, and since 2015 has started GOF research for the COVID virus at Wuhan lab. In an interview in December, before the outbreak of COVID in 2019, Daszak said that research on COVID-19 virus has not been completed and vaccine development was progressing. When you hear all this, you can see that the COVID-19 virus was artificially created in the Wuhan Virology Lab of China. So how did this virus come out? Did someone intentionally open it, or it was accidentally jumped out? The virus was deliberately exposed, and those who exposed it were careful to make it accidental. So you may be thinking, how can we say that? In 2018, a team of experts from the US Embassy in China inspected the Wuhan Virology Lab and wrote to the US government stating that the lab did not meet safety standards. So does this mean that the US had more control over this research in the Wuhan lab than the Chinese? It is recommended that the safety standards of the lab that handles malicious viruses be above biosafety level 4. Security at Wuhan lab only had BSL-2. And we can see that someone in the US government was deliberately turning a blind eye. Many of the world's leading nations are not ruled by the leaders we see. There are some mysterious and powerful black hands behind them. Now, for the question of why the virus was exposed, it is enough to compare the working principles of Rockefeller Foundation with the problem, reaction, solution and the objectives of the GOF research. Remember, the benefits of COVID vaccine are not permanent. That is, booster doses should be continued until the disease is eradicated from the face of the earth. And from this, the vaccine companies can make a lasting profit and endanger the health and fertility of millions of people through continuous vaccination. Then why was the disease allowed to spread to Europe and the US? When they hid the disease under the Iron Curtain of China, the world had no fear of the disease. So they deliberately released it to the Europe and the US to scare the whole world. How did this happen? This is where the role of WHO comes in. From the outside, it looks like the WHO is under Chinese control, but it's actually under the control of the Rockefeller Foundation. According to the WHO, in January 2020, COVID-19 viruses are not transmitted from human to human. And that is why the countries of the world have not banned the travel from China. Thus, rapidly the disease reached all the continents. Donald Trump was the draft in the eyes of this lobby. Trump initially said the virus had escaped from a lab in China. In April, the EcoHealth Alliance's grant for the GOF research was frozen. But no one in the US government was willing to take on the Trump's arguments, and due to the intense pressure from within, the EcoHealth Alliance was again granted a $7.5 million grant in the month of August. Trump, of course, was a liberator, but he was a true nationalist also. They wanted to avoid Trump because he was an obstacle to the implementation of their agenda. And the way they found out was to mislead Trump and worsen the COVID situation in the US. They succeeded in that. And the reason he was initially unwilling to wear a mask or put on a lockdown was because the intelligence of some foxes at the National Institute of Health. Anyway, they used the COVID-19 virus to throw Trump out. Guys, let us stop the part 2 here. And please don't forget to watch the part 3.